All right, guys. Well, welcome back to part two. So we went and picked up some new parts, new O-rings, cam seals, all that stuff. We're going to try to start putting stuff back together. Wait, no, sorry, just missed a step. We got to finish pulling the cam girdle off and putting the anaerobic sealer on that. After that, then we'll start putting things back together and try not to rip our hair out. Well, what's left of our hair anyways.
You've broken my camera!
Anyways, we're gonna finish her up and we're gonna do. So, it's a little bit more difficult than we anticipated, even though we knew it was gonna be difficult. The cam girdle doesn't want to just come right off after we put the tensioner down and locked it in place. There's something that holds it in there. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I don't want to mess with it. We don't want to mess with it. So we're kind of cheating a little bit. We just pulled the cams back a little bit, have them kind of hanging down loosely. And we had to replace this gasket right under here. That's the one that wasn't replaced before, I'd imagine. It was leaking down inside of the spark plug wells. So we got that replaced. It was all like dried plastic and snapped, broke and everything. It was fun getting it out. Got it all out, got the new one in. We're about to use some sealant on the cam girdle. It's gonna be kind of fun to finagle it in there, but we're gonna do it that way because otherwise, I feel like it'd just be better off pulling the whole motor. I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. I don't have room for that. So, like I said before, we're going to use our anaerobic gasket maker. Now, I stopped at my buddy's shop earlier, and he told me to use some other stuff, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But this stuff works just as good. So we're going to use that around the where the cam girdle goes down. We already cleaned up all the other. Somebody used like a thin RTV silicone on here before. You don't exactly recommend doing that. You're not supposed to. So cleaned it up pretty good. Just a little bit left of the threads right here. Make sure it's clean because if it's not clean, it'll leak again. We'll put that on there, put it back together, and then we'll update you guys again. So, we got the gasket in there, we got the anaerobic sealer on there, as you see in the video. Right now we're just tightening the girdle back down. You want to make sure that you're going in your crisscross pattern. You don't want to have this thing tightened down unevenly, because you can warp the girdle, then it won't seal right. Apologize, my nose is stuffy, so I sound a little nasally. Yeah, so crisscross pattern, make sure it's tightened down evenly. Looks like I'm gonna have to replace one guide. This one sits right just behind this girdle here and the chain rides on it. As you can see, looks like it was twisted for a little bit. The chain we've been riding on it. Wrong orientation, so we're gonna pick a new one up to replace that before we undo the tension on the tensioner back there. So right now we're tightening it down and we'll get back to you in a little bit with another update.
The next day.
So, we're back at it. I finally got the parts that I needed to put it back together. So, in case you were wondering what that guide was I was telling you about earlier, let me take it out of the package here. Get a better look at it. This is that replaceable guide I was telling you about. Okay. Get you an idea what it looks like, what it's supposed to look like anyways. Now, the one that was in there is this one. There's quite a bit of difference if you can't tell.
You don't say!
Okay, the only thing holding it in was that little nub on the bottom that holds it in place. So, I don't know how they didn't come out of there and completely make it go out of time and blow up the motor. Got real lucky on that. In case you're wondering what that part number is, give you a visual here, just pause it if you need it. All right, there you go. So we're gonna throw that guy in there, release the pin from the tensioner so we can get tension back on it. We're gonna check our alignment and our cams, make sure nothing moved, nothing jumped. Still gotta replace the spark plugs, still gotta do an oil change, and this car will be all set.
20 minutes later.
All right guys, welcome back. So we had to take a break for a little bit. Buddy dropped off a heater to kind of keep it nice and warm in here. It's starting to get a little chilly. It snowed this morning. It was like, what, 20 degrees outside?
Yeah, I think so.
Getting
Something like
kind of
that.
cold. So he dropped the heater off. Nice guy. Thanks, John. That'll keep us warm enough to keep doing what we're doing without wearing hoodies and whatnot. So we're at the point where we got the guide back in there. The guide that was no good. Clicked right in, ready to go on that. Pulled the pin out the tensioner. We checked the cams. Everything lines back up where it should be.
We're halfway there.
Halfway there. We're gonna throw the chain case cover back on. Trying to get everything back together so that we can do the spark plugs and oil change. See you in a little bit. So for those of you that have a hard time getting at the screws to the coolant pipe that goes down the side of the heads over here, unless you have the right tool, it's kind of a pain. So I have the wrong tool that kind of helps out. So you lock it down on there, 1/4 inch wrench, turn it, pull it off so it's loose. Lock it back on there, turn it, pop it off, and slide it on. Redneck ratchet.
Also, so far, we are getting it back together. We have this rear cover back on, and we're just working on getting things hooked back up right now. The hardest part's over, and the storm is clearing. So, once we start getting into other things, we'll check back, maybe do a time lapse.
All right, so here's a VVT solenoid. We pulled it. I probably reused the O-ring in it, but I guess it's common for these to leak in this motor. So we're gonna have to take this O-ring off. It's a little flat, if you can tell on the camera at all. So when they get flat, they tend to kind of leak. It's a brand new one. We'll swap that out. There's a part number if you need it. Okay, so for those that don't know how to take one off, swap it out, it's quite simple. I'll show you how to do it. We could use this pick. I was looking for the hook pick, but usually I'll just put pressure on the back side of it and pull up. So give you a little bit of a groove. See that right in there? To be able to get a pick into. And just do that. And just work it off or snap it off really if you really wanted to, but just in case that O-ring doesn't work out, ends up sending the wrong one in the package. You know, sometimes that happens. I've had wrong parts in packages before even though the part number was right. Alright, there's a new O-ring. Ready to go.
Make sure you oil it before you put it in too.
Yep. Alright, I guess we're gonna show you what's going on here. I decided while he was putting the valve cover on over there, I was gonna start doing the plugs on this side. Yeah, I probably should have put the valve cover on first, but it really doesn't matter doing the plugs now or doing it after. There's tons of oil in there, the reason why we're doing this job. Now I did the first 3 plugs over here, which is cylinder 5, 6, and 7. About to do cylinder 8 right now, and that one's got a ton of oil in it. Just about to take the spark plug out of this. This is when you know there's way too much oil inside here. Yeah, it's not supposed to do that. Alright guys, another update. We got the spark plugs in. Putting the ignition coils back in right now. I still have to put the wiring harness, all these ends back together, but it's easy. This side's already done. Cody went through and did this side while I was doing the other stuff. Still got to put the intake tube back here, the Y pipe, whatever you want to call it. Once that's in, put the other ends of the air boxes back in. Still got to do the oil change, coolant, and I believe that's it, right?
I think so, yeah.
About that. Okay. And then we should be good to fire her up and hope that she doesn't blow up. So we'll see you guys tomorrow because we're going to bed.
Tomorrow for sure.
So we're back. It's tomorrow. We're gonna put our air tube on, air pipe, whatever you want to call it. Throw that back on in the back here. I found that the only way I could get it out of here was feeding it through this side, the passenger side. I couldn't get it to come out the driver's side. So I'm guessing this is the way you're supposed to take it out. So we're gonna feed that back in there. That fancy clip goes onto this one, and the other one just slides onto here with a normal clip.
And if you couldn't tell in the first video, this is the fancy clip he was talking about. You gotta squeeze it in all sorts of different ways to make it pop off.
Yep, so we're gonna do that. Put the air boxes back together, put the other one back in, which I don't think we have a video on taking that out. All right. So, bottom of the box, got these little prongs, whatever you want to call them. They sit inside these rubber grommets. Get the light in there. 2 rubber grommets right there. So they sit inside of there, and then you got where your intake pipe attaches onto. And there's a plastic hose right down in here, if you can see it. That just kind of clips onto it, and it's kind of a pain, but you got to work with it a little bit, and then you'll get it. So we'll put that on after we finish getting the wiring harness back together. So we're gonna finish put that back together, and then we'll do a startup video. Oh, we also gotta do the coolant. There's no coolant in there right now, so we'll fill it up. We'll have to show you how to burp the coolant, because there'll be an air bubble in there when you drain it, and you fill it back up, and you gotta get the air bubble out. So we'll show you how to do that. So here we go. All right, so we got the rest of the car put back together. We're about to put coolant in it right now. We were gonna have a time lapse for you, but we forgot to set that up. So there's no time lapse on finishing up the rest of it with the air pipe and all that stuff. So we're just gonna fill her up, and then we'll do a time lapse on filling it up and burping it, and then we'll get to showing you how to burp it. Everything's back together now. So we're gonna start her up for the first time and hope that it doesn't blow up. Might smoke for a little bit from the oil getting down from the spark coils into the cylinders.
Might even make a little bit of chain noise.
Yeah, yeah. But hopefully, cross fingers, everything works out good and we didn't just totally destroy this motor. Hey guys, couldn't tell from the startup video. Something was off, it was misfiring. Found out that one of the cam sensors wasn't plugged back in. Plugged that back in, it's still running a little weird. Right now I'm just gonna see what codes were popping up. See if maybe something else wasn't plugged back in, we missed it. And go from there. If nothing really shows up, I'm just gonna erase all the codes and start it up and go from there. Brake boost vacuum system. Mechanical failure fault 1. That popped up when we first got the car. 2 lean at idle, happened once. Camshaft position sensor, we fixed that. Random multiple cylinder misfire. Cylinder 8 misfire detected. Cylinder 7. Cylinder 5. Cylinder 6. Camshaft positioner, bank 2, intake. On the same side that the other one said? Signal too high. Bank 2 CMP, sensor 4, engine speed sensor, incorrect correlation. Alright, clear the codes. Nothing came back on. So we'll start the car. Don't like that. And a multiple misfire. Cylinder 8, 6. Okay, so as you can see, Q7's not behind us. This is actually his wife's car. So we're gonna be doing another video with this. You'll see that later about programming a key to the car when you only have one key. But for now, we just wanted to give you guys an update on what was going on with the Q7. We got it all back together. We got it started. As you seen in the last video, we had some smoke coming up. We had a code for incorrect correlation for one of the sensors. Can't remember which one it was off the top of my head.
They just watched it. We didn't.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been about a week. Been about a week or so.
Yeah.
So what happened was we had our cams in time on the top side. The two cams were together right. However, when the chain was loose and we were moving everything around, the chain at the bottom where it rides on the teeth for the bottom gear, it shifted to
yeah, I'll put a picture of what we're trying to explain because there's a lot of it. It's not
it's
normal.
easier with a visual. So I jumped down there, didn't notice it. There's a way to check when you have both valve covers off. Cams need to be all in time together. There's a hole in each cam that's threaded, and there's supposed to be a timing tool. We don't have the tool. Finn was telling me about it at Pierce's when I was over there.
Oh shit! So it's not like the 2.0.
The video that Devin sent, you can see it in the video. You can see it's threaded. Okay. So the tool, there's two separate tools you gotta have. One for the bank 2, which is driver's side. One for bank 1, passenger side. They both bolt into the cams. That's to make sure that they're both in time correctly. Now, we just looked at the top, excuse me, at the top, and it looked like it was right. Didn't really pay attention to see if the passenger side matched the driver's side. That was our own fault. We screwed up on that.
Yeah, from the beginning, we probably should have set everything in time.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. We screwed up on that.
Yeah, we I don't know why we didn't think of that. Big oof.
But we learned something. Okay? So make sure if you're going to do that job, you buy those cam lock tools. Make sure everything's in the right spot. When you're all done with it, make sure it didn't jump any teeth. So right now, I'd say my buddy's shop at Pierce Auto. So he has the stuff to replace everything. He's got the tools to do it.
Yeah, they're gonna do the guides while it's there too.
Yep. Because
something that we couldn't do.
We noticed that the other guides need to be replaced too. We replaced one of them, as you see in the video, but other ones need to be replaced too. And I didn't have the time to work on it anymore. I had other projects that we needed to get to. So buddy came over, said that we could drop it off at the shop, so we did. He's been working on it. That should be back to us within a couple days. Hopefully, and then we could do our oil change on it because we still haven't done that yet. So we'll do a video on that. But we just wanted to give you guys an update what was going on. We're gonna close up with that. Close up this video, and we'll start our new one about how to program a key to your car.
Yeah, and we'll just keep things rolling. We don't want to let issues stop us. We don't want to try to keep going with this YouTube thing and actually be productive around here.
I want to make sure you guys have content to watch instead of just having our channel sit idle and have nothing for you guys.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. We'll see you on your next video.